Alright guys, today we're going to do a natural vacuuming with my Hoover windtunnel V2. This is one of my original vacuums to the collection, because for the longest time, if you go back onto my old channel, Little Brutta, all I had was this, my Eureka Lightspeed, and my Hoover Rewind. That's the only three I had. So yeah. I actually really like this machine. Mine's really beat up. You can see, cracks and stuff throughout the machine. There's all kinds of different screws holding it together. There's wood screws and shit holding this together. Under here, I actually have, if you look in there, you can see these little, weather stripping things. I put those in there around the brush roll motor because it would vibrate so much. It was causing more cracks because of how brittle this gets. So I put all those in there to kind of cushion everything inside of there, and that's been helping with the noise that this thing makes. And that, I just put a protectant on this, and it helps it look not quite as faded, but this is the most faded part on the vacuum. It gets like this nasty light red. It starts to look like that couch right there. But if I put that protectant on there, it'll look like this for like a week. I use like a red Sharpie for these letters right here. This lens is in good condition, but it doesn't sit in there quite right anymore. The light bulb isn't quite the right size, so it kind of rubs on the lens a little bit too. This, I actually put a hole in the side here, and then if you swing this thing down, it will hold this, because the original screw hole that goes up into there, like any other vacuum, is all augered out. And then this whole base plate, I made look nicer with electrical tape. I just kind of fixed the whole thing with electrical tape. I made it look better, and it's gonna prevent it from getting any more cracked up than it already is. And here's the other screw. It does still have these little green things on the side, on both sides, I believe. Not like these ever did anything. But yeah, you can see this side is loose. That's why I kind of have that there. Normally it would swing all the way, but with the electrical tape, it doesn't want to go all the way. These brush rolls are pretty worn out yet again. I find myself explaining this every time. There's a little shaft that comes out for each one of these brush rolls, and on the brush roll where the shaft goes into, it's all spun out. So there's nothing for the shaft to actually engage in. So all of these are kind of, well, these two are okay, I believe, and then these two I have glued on. The way this works, there's two fluffy ones, and then two stiff ones, and this brush roll, and this is starting to make a lot of noise, and I kind of just broke the case so I could slam a bunch of grease in there, and then I just used electrical tape to seal it back up. So, yeah, because I didn't feel like because you have to take it all the way apart just to put some lubricant in here. And it was really dry, and ever since I put the grease in there, it does sound better. It's just, and at least now, if I ever have to lubricate it, I just peel all this electrical tape off here, and it'll reveal the grease area. The problem is I'm sure a little bit more dust gets in there, but I don't use this thing very often, and when I do, it's not very aggressively. This brush roll had a crack in it, so I used some silicone adhesive on that. Right here, I tried fixing all the screws that hold in these brush rolls are all augered out, so the brush rolls barely hold themselves in, but they do it. I actually at one point did have this held on with silicone or RTV to try and help it seat better, because the whole thing doesn't want to seat properly. It's pretty bad. But ever since I glued this all back together, it does seem to function. And even with the electrical tape, it seems to work okay. So, yeah. The light does work. This Hoover emblem has been peeled off so many times, because to get underneath here, you got to take that off because there's a screw underneath there. But I just glue it back in every time. You can shut the brush roll off, which is nice. And if I do hard floors, I just swing this up so I'm not scratching the floors. If I'm doing carpet, this doesn't really affect anything, so I just leave it down. This is your handle release, and it actually, you don't push down, you kind of pull back. Come on. And then, this thing actually does lay pretty flat. Besides it being bulky, it does lay pretty fat. And this base is pretty low profile. I mean, like that's just about as slim as the Shark, which I did clean up again, by the way. I got it pretty dirty. I kind of vacuumed the whole house with it yesterday. So yeah, you can see all these brushless have quite a bit of play in them, but even if they were working properly, they do that. These things are just, they're pretty finicky machines. Although these, I would honestly take over the Hoover Wind Tunnel 2 bagless that came after this. In here, you have your HEPA filter, and you can actually get an actual HEPA cartridge filter with a seal on it, but because this thing actually does seal up pretty well, like everything is pretty well put together, besides the base, this stupid thing. I believe this is just a carbon filter. I just kind of leave it in there, even though it doesn't really do anything. And even if I were to take it out, it wouldn't make a difference because air can go through this no problem. I mean, and it leaks around the sides. Like this thing, this filter does absolutely nothing. You can see, I mean, this is where it vents through. This big old cover, they made it big enough so that, now, friend who sold me the Bissell 6594 also gave me this little bag thing to turn it into a bag machine, which is kind of cool, and it doesn't seem to seal as well, unfortunately, so it's probably not at its full performance with this, but at least I don't have to worry about freaking cleaning out that bagless thing all the time. And I can run HEPA bags in it, so it'll just keep it running nicer for longer. And yeah, he tossed this in with the sail. It's got this little thing to help it hold in better. And yeah, like I said, I made a little filter for the bottom out of an old rag. And it doesn't seem to seal quite as well, unfortunately, but it does still have a little bit of suction, just not quite as much. I guess I should say it has a little bit of airflow still. It's probably this thing that's not sealing properly. I don't even know how to date these, but I believe this one was made in 04 or 03, one of the two. This is a model U8 130-900. It is a 12 amp machine. I believe this one was actually made in USA. Yep, made in US. So, it's just, I think the medium setting is what it does best on for this carpet. Even, you guys saw how worn out these brush holes are, even with those worn out brush holes. This is also a really horrible height adjustment. Even with those worn out brush holes, this thing still grooms and cleans okay. I haven't done a deep clean test on it, but just judging by visuals, especially if I had the proper, because this was made for the Hoover Savvy, which I'm guessing that the Hoover Savvy just had some, I think that's what this came out of. I don't know, Andrew never really told me. All I know is he said it would work in this. I'm just wondering if the vacuum that this actually came with had slightly different proportions around here, because this doesn't fit in here quite right. You guys saw how hard it is to get into there, and it kind of scratches the red up right here, but that's okay. And it doesn't quite sit in here that properly. But yeah, but this thing does have rubber coated wheels. Very nice, well rubber coated wheels. These machines were kind of spendy, so I would almost expect that. Obviously, it's V2 technology, so even though those are actually 4 separate brushes, it's meant to look like 2, because that's kind of how it functions, is 2 different brushes. The light, this is when they started catching on that the light makes more sense being right there. And there's 2 sets of suctions, so it's more evenly distributed throughout the whole machine. And you should watch this thing actually work. Like, if I could actually go to some, like, big amounts of dust, you can see, and the way it's channeled, because it's not only these, it's channeled all over the base to clean well. So, and it's not even that loud either. Other thing is the switch has a slight malfunction. The brush holes are supposed to shut off in the upright position, but they don't. So, yeah. Motor actually sounds okay. A lot of people think these have a Shark motor in them, which I think they might. I think they have basically the same motor as a Shark. Or I guess I should say Sharks have the same motor as these, because I believe this came out before the first Shark upright. Should we go over it with the Vertex real quick, just to see what it missed? I mean, I just vacuumed in here yesterday with the Vertex, so I doubt this thing even picked up that much, but it's got the bagged thing up right now, so. I just brought this down from my vacuum room because it doesn't really get much attention. So I figured I would maybe do a few videos with this and put it back upstairs and get a different vacuum to do a few videos with. Also, I need to do a few videos with that Victory because I brought that down to do a few videos with. My Ultima, I want to do a review for that. I think a Eureka Ultima review would be interesting. You are just being all kinds of weird, aren't you? Yes. So, we'll roll this thing. Set it right there. There's the Vertex box. And what we'll do is we will grab the Vertex, which has freshly clean filters and a freshly clean bin. And we'll see what the V2 missed, even though this carpet wasn't even that dirty to begin with. You can see it actually does groom the carpet quite nicely, for how worn out that thing is. What? I'm gonna have to kick you out for this? Come on, this is a vacuum video, not a dog video. Alright. You're gonna have to leave, I think. Or here. Gobble. Come on. Oh, you're too smart. Oh. I know. There's like something. Oh, it's a nerd. What? How you? Messing up my lines. Now, I'm gonna guess that we didn't really pick anything up. Some more fine dust. I didn't think, and a lot of that was probably residual from the hose, so. God, that filter gets dirty quick. God dang. What are you doing? What? Alright guys, hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Peace.